Hi everybody, welcome back to T's Theses. For today's video, I wanted to share with you some of the authors that I aspire to be just like when I grow up. Some of you may not know that I am actually an independent author, and I have published 4 books on Amazon as well as a serial story entitled Vickery Circle, where we have these 20-year-olds who live together in an apartment together who have extremely different personalities. So as an independent author, you may have already guessed that it's kind of hard to get your work out there. There are like, I think 1,000 people uploading books on Amazon each day. And there are like 2 million books that are published every year. So it's kind of hard, to push past the masses and get your work seen. And so because of that, as an independent author who is struggling to get their work seen, there are times when, I kind of envision what it would be like if people were to, acknowledge my work. If I was like one of the greats who was getting their work seen, who people talk about, who people follow on social media and hang on their every word. And so one of the authors who I aspire to be just like is Stephen King. And the major reason behind that is because he is a master storyteller. He's a master of suspense to the point where he has written books on writing, and people follow his work as if it is a writer's Bible. And so even though I have never read any of his books on writing, I have actually read his books to help me be a better writer. And so I have a young adult supernatural series entitled Interwoven. And when I got to the 3rd book, it was time, I felt, to build suspense. It was time for me to, draw the reader in, because in the 3rd novel, this is where the story unfolds. This is where, you go in and you reveal to the reader everything that's been happening in the first 2 books. And so for me, building suspense didn't come naturally. Building suspense is one of those things, either you're born with it or you need to be taught. And so even in my creative writing courses, that wasn't really something that we covered in classes. And so I went back and I picked up a copy of The Shining. And this time, of course, I didn't read it for enjoyment. I read it from looking through the book for a different perspective and trying to find out what I needed to do to build suspense, what King did within the story that kept the reader there, that quickened your heart and made you wonder what's going to happen next, made you want to know, but you kind of didn't want to know because it's not going to end well. And so even with that being said, because I went back and read The Shining, because I learned the techniques in building suspense, Interwoven 3 is my proudest moment. It's the proudest thing that I have ever written, and to the point where I created this whole character that came out of nowhere, who happens to be my favorite character as well. And so the next author who I aspire to be just like is J.K. Rowlings, and not because of her social media presence and all the drama that she stirs up on there, but because of her Harry Potter series. And who doesn't want to be like J.K. Rowlings? Who doesn't want to create this story, this fantasy where people actually want to be a part of it? If someone could live in the world of Hogwarts for a day, there are so many people that will probably sell their soul just to be a part of that. I mean, imagine creating this world and this character where people are dressing up like your characters for Halloween. You have not only children, but adults who are dressing up like your characters. I mean, J.K. Rowling has created this fantasy world that is going to live on forever, and that is something as an author you want to have. Imagine creating this story where everybody all over the world has a copy of your series sitting on their bookshelf. Somebody somewhere has a book sitting on their bookshelf. Somebody somewhere knows about your works. Whenever your name is mentioned, somebody knows about you. And so even though there are thousands of writers, thousands of authors. There are not many that I aspire to be like. I'm not big on mystery. I used to kind of be a romance novelist, but I don't really read romance like I did years ago. And so there is only one more person who I aspire to be just like when I grow up, and that is Stephenie Myers. And I know, speaking of controversy, Stephenie Myers is a very controversial author in that some people believe that she is not a good writer. I've even seen on Twitter where Stephen King has denounced her as being a decent writer. And I believe that got into her head. I think even as being as big as she is having this powerful effect on so many of us, where she created this Twilight, where she took vampires and she changed how we saw them. Now they come out into the light. Now they feel just like we feel. They can love and they can show affection. It's not all about just wanting to drain us of our life source. She showed us a different perspective of what a vampire could be. And so even with what she has done, she allowed someone else to get inside of her head and made her doubt her ability as a writer. And I believe that that's the reason for her last novel, Midnight Sun. I believe that's the reason why she went back and she wrote the story from Edward's perspective, because she wanted to show us her depth as a writer, what she actually could do. And for me, I think it was a bit unnecessary. I did like learning the story from Edward's perspective. However, for anybody who has seen or read Midnight Sun, you know that the book is this thick. It's like an encyclopedia, whereas the original Twilight was about this thick. And the book itself, Midnight Sun, is just filled with this overly drawn, dramatic descriptions that were unnecessary for the book. And had she taken out the majority of these descriptions, the book probably would have been about this thick. And even though I feel that she has doubted herself as a writer, which I'm sure even King probably has at some point, because I believe he said before that he doesn't even go back and read any of his books, and that he has actually, thought that this book wasn't written well. Even with her doubting herself, I still aspire to be just like her. Who doesn't want to create something that's being shown all over the world, who people are watching on a weekly basis, who people are going back and re-watching your stories? I can just imagine my interwoven series being made into a movie and me sitting at a premiere watching while the world is watching. I mean, how exciting could that be? How exciting could that be to finally feel recognized for something that you've done? So those are all the authors that I aspire to be just like one day. And if any other independent authors out there watching my video, let me know what authors you aspire to be just like. What authors out there that you mirror yourself, that you compare yourself to and wish that you had that same success. So that concludes today's video. Thank you guys again for sticking around. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and try to do something nice for a stranger so we can all do our part to make this world a better place.